If you don't have your own calculator or prefer using an online one, since we do have technology for other things and it is a bigger screen, go to desmos.com, desmos.com, and click Start Graphing. Once you're here, this left-hand side is where you can type in your functions. If you want to graph 2 at a time, you can hit Enter and do another one. They will change color on the side. You can turn them on and turn them off. And if you want a table of values, you can change the color here, and you can also click Table. It'll give you the beginning numbers. If you don't like those, you can always type in some other X value, and it'll give you the output for that equation. The main thing we're going to focus on for our section for trig is sine, cosine, and tangent. You have to type in sin, cos, tan, but after you type it in, put your parentheses. I'm inputting an angle, and I'm getting out the ratio. Now, this ratio is looking like a decimal, but that's a ratio. If you want to do inverse, then you want to do Shift 6 will get you up. That's called a caret, C-A-R-E-T, caret. It'll put you up in a superscript. Type the -1, right arrow to get out of it, and then put the ratio of 1 divided by 2. Arrow over to the right, because if you do 1 divided by 2, I'll redo this. If you do 1/2, it purposely makes that fraction bar for you, and now you're stuck in the denominator, so you have to arrow to the right, and then put your parenthesis out on the right-hand side. Now, these are both dealing in radians. So these are not the right answers we're going to be using for our geometry. Keep them in mind. They're great answers later in life for FST and pre-calc. But if you go over to the wrench, projector mode will make this bigger and bolder so it's easier to see. Arrows are good because there actually should be arrows on the ends of our number lines. If you want to change the width, you can make this go from -5 to 10 if you want. Step is what scale you want labeled. But the big part we're going to look at is radians and degrees down here. Right now, radians is highlighted, so this is all in radians. And degrees is what we want. So notice how when I put in an angle of 30 degrees, I'm going to get out 1/2. When I put in a ratio of 1/2, because these are both the ratio, of the opposite over hypotenuse, I will get out an angle of 30 degrees. So that's just something to look at, think about. You can do regular sine and inverse sine. Another thing you might see, I don't think our book does it, but arc sine is the same thing as inverse sine with a -1. It's just more formatting specific because now you don't have to do any superscripts. You don't have to mess with the -1. It's just one linear line of words and letters. So just an FYI, those are the same exact thing. I think your book sticks with this. I don't think you'll see this until maybe Algebra 2 or Pre-Calc, but that way you've seen it for both of those. All right, let Mr. Walters or I know if you have any questions. Mrs. Olson, me, I know how to work Desmos. Mr. Walters does not, but he does know more about different calculator versions, so he's welcome to answer questions too.